concerned. She talked to friends and they said, yeah, in Florida, hurricane season, you're going to need a generator. So I'm like, okay. So at Lowe's, I had them loaded on a pallet and they put it on this little pallet thing. So I had to narrow my forks up here a little bit. Let me see if I can get this adjusted. Alright, well, I finally got it finagled. It's such a small pallet, it's hard to get those aimed with it that narrow, but it's off the truck. So it'll get stored somewhere for the moment until I can get it unboxed. Well, I got me a new hat to destroy. Black Spired Outpost from work. Cast Connection had them on sale. So one of my quests is I'm thinking about buying a trailer, but the trailer's gross weight is 7,000 pounds. The truck will only pull 6,400 pounds. So I just won't fully load it. The trailer unloaded, I think, is, I don't know what it was, 2,000 pounds. And I think the farm truck weighs under 3,000 pounds. So that would be 5,000 roughly total. So I should be okay. As long as I don't load the trailer to capacity. But my quest is that I got the trailer package on the Tacoma when we bought it, but apparently it doesn't come with the electric trailer brake controller. So there's a company out there that makes it. Watch some YouTube videos. It says pull off the kick panel, dig for the plug, and yeah, just hook it up. So I'm trying to find this stupid plug. So that's my quest for this morning or this afternoon. Alright, so I quested and I found the plug. It's this guy. He was kind of stuffed really back behind in there and tucked away. Probably so he wouldn't rattle or do anything else. But that apparently is my electric brake controller. So I get to order parts. Well, it is Wednesday. I have the day off. We're going to go to EPCOT with the family and ride Cosmic Rewind amongst other things. But this morning I'm up. I'm going to try these, they're boric acid tablets, and I'm going to try an experiment and see if I stick one of these on each anthill and leave it, see if it takes care of my ant problems. We have so many little ant hills. I haven't seen too many of the big fire ant, the frothy mounds in a while, but I'm seeing a lot of the little cone ant hills and things in the yard. So we're going to deal with that. I did go out and look at my trees. The one maple still looks kind of eh. Maybe I'll walk over and show that to you. Let me show you what I'm dealing with on these ant hills. So we have these little ant hills. Usually it's weird. The entrances to these seem to be cluttered with stuff. But I'm going to just take a boric acid tablet, kind of try and mash it into that. I'm a little concerned that animals might get to it. So I usually step on it or try and cover it a little bit. Hopefully the ants will find it and meet their demise. And of course, the recycle guy leaves the trash can square in the middle of the driveway. And I watched him, he rolls up and he just kind of doesn't stop and he just kind of keeps going. So let's see if I can have a word with him about that. You left it right smack square in the middle of the driveway. So now when I go to leave, I have to drive around the trash can or move it. Can you make sure you stop and leave it kind of out of the driveway? All right. Didn't talk much about our shooting range, but here on the property we do have a shooting range. We're on 5 acres. So in the county, it's at least an acre and then so many feet from another house or something. But there isn't anybody downrange for at least a mile. Literally, the property behind us is a farm preserve, so there's nothing back there. But that backstop is made up of sand. 4.5 feet of wet sand will stop a .50 caliber round. Right now it's mostly dry. We haven't had much rain, but even when it's wet, it'll stop that. When it's dry, it'll stop. It takes even less dry sand to stop a round. So we're pretty good. I put up those steel targets just because it's easier than paper. And I used the tractor, of course, to raise that up a little bit. The wood was stacked there from previous owners. I think that was kind of another idea to try and stop bullets and slow them down. But just the sand alone is enough to be effective to stop it. And it seems to hold up pretty well. I'll probably talk a little bit more about the other pieces of the homestead, maybe in little separate vignettes, but we'll see how this goes. A little bit closer look at that shooting range backstop. Did forget to mention that it's 250 feet from my my shooting line, firing line, to the back of this, so I could go further. It's just this is what was here when we bought the house, so I just kind of kept it and ran with it. But there's that pile of wood. Let me walk around, give you an idea, looking at the side profile of this, kind of what it looks like. So there's the targets, and then the pile of wood, and then there's a pretty good sized mound of sand, and then downrange of that is just woods. Our property is another, I don't know, 500 feet back, so plenty of runoff room.
As the capital of the Nova Empire, Xandar is home to over 12 billion citizens. Constructed on a vast system of atolls.
Fortunately, he's plant-based, so we can move back. And they go so fast, especially Hills Quills. He had this half-baked plan, and we saved his butt. End of story. Okay, sweet quarter space.
Still hanging out on the lawn.
Stop. Right there in the middle. Oh, he's gonna sit.
Silly cat.
Yes. Oh. Yeah.
Good luck with that. He's got a broken foot.
Oh no. Oh, baby.
Yep.
Oh no.
Well, so far, the ants have just worked around the boric acid. So I'm not sure if this concept is going to work. This one here, oops, it's in the light. This one here, I pushed the boric acid a little bit further down, but clearly these guys are still very active. But down inside of here, you kind of see the boric acid tablet there. So not sure if this concept will work. We'll see. These guys are so delicate. But we got lots of them here. Little dragonflies. Well, we just got a bit of rain, which I'm happy about because everything here was so dry. Anytime I tried to work out here in the sand, dirt, it was just so dusty. But this maple here has me concerned. It's in an area where I had dug up a lot of the palmettos and the muscadine and greenbriers. And after I tried to gently pull a lot of the vines off of it because it just looked really like it was covered in the stuff. So the maple leaves weren't really getting any sunlight. So I pulled some out as gently as I could, and now it's kind of gone this yellowish color. I threw down some fertilizer. Hopefully that helps it, give it a little nitrogen and so forth to give it a boost. But it hasn't gotten any worse. It kind of stopped it at what you see now. But I'm hoping that it turns brighter green. It should look more like, well, going to be a bit of a distance away, but it should look more like this sweet gum tree, which is a bright green. But not at the moment. So I'll keep you posted. And I'm getting buzzed by a dragonfly. Anyway, take care. Well, I played with the box blade for the first time today. Still getting the hang of this thing. It's all a learning experience. But so that's what I've been working on, trying to get this trail a little more level. Looks awesome on camera, I bet, but it's still a little lumpy. So that's the first trail, and then let me step around this way. Trail goes kind of around the corner there, so I got a lot of lumps to do. I think my best option at this point is going to be to rotary cut to kind of clear all the stuff, then landscape rake to get all the debris, and then try and box blade, but I got to find a little bit more dirt. What I was finding is I'd get a lot of twigs and garbage in the mix. Not sure, it kind of clogs the box, because the box is supposed to pick up dirt and then level it, but if it's got twigs and junk in there, it doesn't work quite as well. So, but I'm having fun. A blast to this point, just trying to learn how to use this equipment, learn how to live here in Florida on an acreage, and God, it's just a blast. I love being out in nature, and it is neat, and it's so surreal after, you know, it's relaxing to hear the drone of the diesel as you're running around, but then when you turn it off, just to hear that silence, the quiet, the nature, super awesome. Anyway, good times. Just for fun, I ran the drag box just kind of low, not like digging in too much, to work it kind of like a landscape rake as I came down that trail. And yeah, that's what happens. So I got to get a lot of that cleared off, I think, before I try and use the scraper box. Otherwise, it's just clogged. And actually, at the moment, I'm going to have to try and figure out how I'm going to get all that out, since the box won't go any higher than that. So maybe backing up and shifting around a little bit. But anyway, you get the idea. So I got a rotary cut, landscape rake, then scraper box. So working there just a little bit ago, working with that box scraper, and I heard some voices over here, so I thought I'd come over. This is 5 acres right next to us, and there's been some, well, nefarious activity from dumping to, I don't know what. I mean, I found ice chest coolers and deer carcass, all kinds of things over here. So I'm like, maybe I'll go over and see what's going on. But I noticed there are tracks. So it looks like somebody opened the gate and went through. There's another gate over there. Let me see if I can get a better shot. Oh, they didn't go through that gate. So the tracks kind of go up and stop there. And they made a U-turn. Not sure what they did. Either that or it's dry enough maybe that they it didn't leave tracks. Property out there is all belongs to the Mormon, but this is the forest preserve out behind our house. And so there's 2 gates. There's this one here, and then there's one going that way. A lot of times I'll hear cows baying over there. And then this way is towards the back of my property. So there's a road kind of cut between, right along the fence line here. But that's 1,200 acres behind us. I know I've talked about it a little bit, but this gives you an idea of, it's very wooded, probably more wooded than our section. And this, of course, is my neighbor's vacant lot. They're actually out in Peru, I think. So it's just a landowner investment, maybe. But yeah, this is what's behind the house. So this is where, I mean, we get a lot of deer, a lot of wildlife. It's just pretty wild. Very, very different from what I had behind my house in California. Behind the house in California, we had another neighbor who had another 5,000 square foot lot, and across the street from them was, same thing, and so on and so forth. There was like, I think 250 houses in the space that we were in, and it was probably only 100 acres, if that, 50 acres, I don't know exactly. But it was a small space, so really dense housing. Here, such a huge difference in moving out here into Florida and into this rural part of Orlando. Fanabulous? Fantastic and fabulous is what I was going for, but I combined them. Maybe I made a new word. It is pretty fun out here. The idea that there is just so much more space. A lot of people think of Orlando, they think of Walt Disney World and all the theme parks and this big city and so forth, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. You get a little bit away from the theme parks and it gets rural pretty quick. Now it's growing pretty fast, but you don't have to go nearly as far here to get into the woods as I did in California. There were a lot of foothills and such, but I don't know. I don't really think of it as the same thing. And I was just glancing up there, a flock of birds flying by, and I can hear cows off in the distance. We hear chickens. We got neighbors with chickens and so forth. So really good times out here. These two guys, that's Loki, and this is Thor. They've actually been doing pretty well about hanging out with each other. They've learned to play well with each other, which is awesome. They've actually been in the house all day. I think the problem we had initially with them is Loki wanted to play with Thor, but his idea of play was different than Thor's idea. Loki wanted a kick toy, kicker for cats, if you know what that is. They grab onto them and just box them with their back legs. And Thor didn't think that was too fun. But Thor is definitely the much bigger cat, but he's pretty passive. So he kind of just brushed it off. Sometimes he'd fight back a little bit, but he'd usually just try and avoid it and whatnot. But I think they've worked out the play. Loki's figured out that Thor is not a kicker, and they're getting along really, really well. Once in a while they'll have a little scuffle, and I think it's probably Loki takes it a little bit too far, and Thor says enough. But yeah, we're pretty happy. Working out really well. So today's the day we're going to get the last window put in. Yay! They're sitting outside or out front getting set up. So our last window showed up. Truck's here. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully it's smooth. And yeah, we'll have all our windows done. Well, it's lunchtime on a Friday. Got a bunch of stuff I could do, but I think what I'm going to do today is get the rotary cutter connected to the tractor and see if I can cut some trails and do that before I try and grade. I may even, if I have some time, go over and cut a swath up next to the property line, get that fence area cleared. But should be fun. Well, that was a feat of strength and patience, I think. Got it mated together. Hardest part was getting understanding how the PTO shaft locks on. There's a pin that you have to push and finagle with, and everybody I've seen does it with the mower and such attached to the 3-point. This tractor's tiny, man. There's just not that much room once you get all that in there to stick your hand in there. So I took the 3-point off, backed the tractor away from it a little bit, got the thing in there so I had enough room, and then I could back up. There's enough slide in that shaft to make that happen, but whew, I don't think I'll be doing that every day. Well, it's definitely taken a little bit of finessing to get this weed brush clearing thing going, but we've been having fun. Made a little bit of trail. Let me walk you through one of the biggest changes here. So this used to be pretty overgrown. Actually, this was a mound that I'm walking through right now. But I got a lot of this cleared down, so now at least I can kind of navigate in here. There's a lot of debris in this space that I need to get in here and clear out. I mean, I'm all for letting some things decompose, but it gets to a point where some of this is just a fire hazard. We got logs and stuff. I'd like to be able to kind of expand a trail out that away, but there's just too many logs. I'd tear the brush hog up. But I got cut back through here, and I actually made it around to where our funky tree is. Still stepping on the little sticks. I'll have to see what it takes to get those out. They may just eventually decay. So that's the fence line. That's the neighbor's yard. This is where I couldn't quite feel comfortable coming in, and I think I need to tighten up my brush hog in the way that it flips around. But that's the funky tree. It's kind of neat. It's still growing. It's living. It's kicking. But it kind of got bent. Not quite sure what to do with this tree yet, but just the other side of that, I made it to the with the brush hog on that side. So coming back the other way, it's really going to be neat trails in here, and I'm trying to also get the debris down so we don't have as many bugs. I think as the debris collects, the ponds and pools where the mosquitoes can breed increases, which isn't too good. I don't know that I'll ever want to take the farm truck through here, but I suppose if I clean it up a little bit more, I might be able to. Oh, that tree. I worked so hard to avoid that tree because, you know, you're looking down at the ground and keeping track of it, but this one right there was right on the edge. I'm like, oh, I can't nick that tree, but it's dead the whole way up. That's a dead tree trunk. Not quite sure what I'm going to do with that, but if I open that up, yeah, I could probably get the farm truck through here because all that palmetto comes out. That would work. Here's my alternate route, which is kind of neat. Again, there's a bunch of decaying wood I got to kind of kick around. Got some beautiful ferns. There's another little game trail. Got a ton of those back here. But I open this up, and again, this stump is right in the way of the trail, and then a couple of decaying logs and some dying palmetto. But I was able to maneuver, and that's pretty much where I set to rest. So that's the short little hike through some of that. I got some of this cleared out too. I did learn that apparently you can use the brush hog as a tiller if you're not careful. So that happened a little bit there. It's just I may need to make some adjustments on things, but it's coming along. I'm having fun. Well, I got all my parts laid out. I need to install this Redarc electric brake controller for the trailer. So we're hoping to pick up the 18-foot trailer next week from Kubota dealer. Anyway, so that's going there. I got the trim panels off and the dash half torn apart. So we're going to work through getting this bad boy installed and have trailer brakes. Well, after, actually virtually no issues at all. Spin it around so it's facing the right way. We have our Redarc brake controller installed. It actually looks pretty clean, and it's a little different than the factory. The factory one had some other control panel. I have no idea where that would even mount. I saw pictures of it, but there's like nowhere in this truck to mount anything else. All the real estate is like taken up. Even this space under here, this is the airbag. I had to take that out to get it all going. But we got trailer brake controller for the electric trailer brakes, which is awesome. Ooh, I can start to hear a little thunder, so we'll probably get a little rain tonight. So that means that my 7-pin plug works. Not the 4-pin. Don't plug in there and expect brakes. Plug in there. Anyway, gorgeous, gorgeous day. Supposed to get a little bit of rain. Looks like some cloud, but nothing here yet. Karen told me it rained all last night. I sleep right through it. So I'll just have to take her word for it. But it is what it is. But I had fun, all in all. I had a bunch of meetings at work. But I did get to play with my rotary cutter. Got to install some brakes. This Saturday, I'm going to see if I can't work on this burn pile, get some of this rubbish out of here. If it's raining and I can't do that, I might try to assemble the generator and see how that goes. Good times. A little easier to tell from here what I did with rotary cutter, brush hog, whatever you want to call it. I cut a kind of a swath down the fence line there, so that's yeah, right there. That's my fence, or what's left of it. Most of those posts are rotted. Ooh, saw a lightning strike. Storm's supposed to be coming through, so that'll be neat. I enjoy those. Karen, not so much. But now at least I know I can keep a buffer of this this muscadine from getting into the yard. Keep the other plants from infiltrating, and give the deer a little bit more of a run before they get around my fence. So the challenge now, let me see if I can stand in line here, is to go that way. So probably, right about where those pallets are, and then all the way down between that set of trees. I'm going to see how well I can brush cut and get me kind of a swath down the fence line. I don't know if I'm ever going to decide to put a fence up, but if I let it keep overgrowing, never going to be able to put a fence up. It'll be major work to do. But anyway, good times. Well, I got my burn authorization from the forestry department today, so I'm going to do that. I have to switch out some implements though. I will say taking the PTO shaft off of the rotary cutter was much easier than putting it on. Although I did drop the implement, move forward a little bit to give me a little bit more room in there, but it just popped right off. So maybe it just takes a once or twice coming on, and that'll be good. But so I'm going to go put the grapple on and probably put the drag box on for ballast in the back. I didn't want to drag this around in the forest as I picked up stuff. It's kind of clunky, but I need some counterbalance on the back of the tractor. The heaviest thing I have is the backhoe, but of course it's got a leak at the moment, so I can't really put it on there. So I will probably put the box blade on the back for ballast and the grapple on the front, and we'll have fun feeding a fire. Got men's group today too. I'm gonna have to figure out how to work that in. See if I join the men's group at 10 and kind of try and keep an eye on the fire. We'll see. It's supposed to get up to 90 degrees today though, so it's going to be a bit warm. I don't know if I'm going to want to just sit in the sun and be on the men's group. We'll see. I'll work something out. I think it's a hawk up there in the tree, and somebody else isn't too happy about him hanging out. Squawking away, diving at him. Oh well. I think I know who wins this fight. But it is awesome here in Florida. There's just so much. We'd have hawks out in California, but not just kind of hanging out in the front yard waiting to get a snack. I'm hoping this guy comes down and eats all of the moles that are in the yard. But anyway, got my burn pile almost set. Got the tractor set up. I just added fuel, the box blades on, got the grapple on, so we're set. Well, there it goes. It has begun. Now I got to figure out how I'm going to feed this and do men's group at the same time. It'll be fun. What could go wrong? Man, I'm filthy. But getting this burn day done. Took a break to go out and get the mail and get something to drink. It's going slower than I had hoped. I don't know if there's a better way to burn palmetto, but it seems to just kind of, the outside chars off and then you end up with just these charred sticks. Kind of looks like that. Pile looks like about what I would start with for a burn, but it's probably going to have to just sit there and simmer for a while. Well, let me give you a kind of a look at what I've actually gotten cleared off, and it's actually quite a bit. All right, so right about where this tree is on the ground, I don't know if you can see that dirt. The pile was up to there and then kind of continued on into that space. One of the things I'm learning is I can't pile this stuff up too high and leave it for too long, because it actually starts to compost. So a lot of what I've got left here is kind of half composted, bit of a mess. I knew this part here would compost because it was pretty finely chopped, but even the bigger stuff was starting to compost out. Let me walk around to the back of the property and I'll give you an idea how much progress I made on that. All right, so sorry, sun's kind of in my eyes right at my face, but so right where this tree is here in the dirt, there was palmetto pile all the way up to here. So it's about half cleared now. And it had started to actually compost. As I moved it, you see this kind of brown smoke come up. Kind of different, but it had started to compost a little bit too. So this is the last bit that's left, and then the compost heap that's in the front yard. I got to figure out how to turn this stuff so that it finishes this cycle of heating up and cooking. But got quite a bit of it burned. I think I'm going to just have to sit here and watch it smolder for the last couple hours. I thought about just continuing to feed it, but it just keeps building up a pile of that charcoal stick stuff that is the palmetto. I need to really, what worked well when I started this is I took a bunch of really loose vine, really dried kindling, if you will, piled it up on the ground, and then threw some of the old charcoal logs on top of that. And that seemed to cook it pretty well. I just got to get the heat up higher, but as time goes on, I think those logs are just starting to smother the fire. So I think it's a little bit too big to try and play with. If I decide to cut it, I think 6:30 I'm supposed to quit. Just things we're learning, how much I can burn, and I don't know if chopping these things up in little bitter, smaller pieces would help, but that's a whole lot more labor. Anyway, progress on the burn. So while I'm waiting for this fire to die down, which I don't think it's going to go away. I think I'm going to eventually have to hose it down and call it a night. But got my handy dandy Ryobi trimmer. I'm going to go down the fence line here. I was able to, if you remember, with the Brush Hog, clear out a little bit of a swath, but I didn't get around the fence post. I thought, well, it'd be easier to just go hit it with the weed whacker. So that's what I'm going to do. When we bought the house, there was a pile of lumber kind of sitting in this area. And I thought, oh, cool, somebody started this this fence project, and they did the posts, and I'll just finish that up one day, and it'll be awesome. Until I look closer at some of the posts. If you notice, there's a post missing in the pattern, and as we get closer, you'll see, I think I nicked it with the with the Brush Hog. But yeah, there's not really much left of these posts. They must have put just regular pine posts in or something. Or maybe they were put in 20 years ago. I don't know. But these things they've seen better days. It could be the brush fire that was next door. Maybe that weakened these. But anyway, now you get a little bit clearer view of my fence line after I weed-eated it. That was fun. And of course now I'm standing in the smoke downstream, downwind of my smoldering heap. Watch it for a little bit longer and then I may give up and just hose it down. But it's going to take a lot to hose that down. Oh yeah, so there's this hole in the base of the tree. I poked at it with that stick and a bunch of ants were starting to come out. So I put that ant poison out. Hopefully that'll take care of them and we won't lose this. This is one of the red maples. Hopefully it won't have gotten too much damage and it'll continue to grow for years to come. Just a gorgeous day. The clouds out here in Florida are definitely unique, way different than the type that we would get out in California. This one just kind of hovering over my smoldering fire pit, just really big white fluffy cotton candy kind of clouds. Just really cool.
Yeah. I think they did say that they would change the orbit. Supersonic.
Woohoo! There it goes! Hear it? Woo!
So here I am, later in the day. I haven't put anything on this in quite some time. Wasn't really sure how big a coal bed it was, but I think that what you're looking at is like one layer of palmetto trunks on top of a heap of coal. So what to do now? Let it sit here and smolder? Well, burn for a while? Or do I start pumping a ton of water on it? Create a nice steam bath. I think that edge there kind of shows how big the mound is of coal. Some of it's actually started to cool. But yeah, this side kind of shows it a little bit better. So never underestimate how long it's going to take for something to coal out and finish on burn day. It may take longer than you think. Lesson learned. Well, it's fun trying to learn all these new things as I try and work on a homestead here in Florida. Definitely a big change from how things are done in California. Thought I'd give a little bit more of an update on the the burn. There's the black soot pile over there. But everything pretty much from the foreground all the way up to the what's now compost pile. That was a bunch of palmetto. And so all of that got burned. Oh, there's probably 30 feet from here over. So now I just got to come through and pile that all up. What's left in the debris, that was stuff that started to compost on me. So now I got to decide, do I want to be in the compost business? I got to figure out how to turn that and what's out back. Because I know a lot of this would make really good soil, and I need dirt. I've got a few low spots in the yard, but yeah, pretty much killed the grass in this area, but that's okay. It'll come back. We can reseed and get it going. But that was a pretty big area. Pretty much this whole space was about 4 feet high, 5 feet high, and all the way across. So good day's work.